about ready to get this party started. As David said, I think we've got we only have three of us here in the room tonight, but we've got some really winter weather coming through, some rainy fall, I shouldn't say winter, fall weather coming through. So not too surprising, and I'm hoping we'll see a few more faces pop up here as we get going with our presentation. Before I do, just a little bit of shop news. I wanted to go ahead and make mention. We're coming up on our annual event. It's our Scuba Santa event. You can get your pictures taken with Scuba Santa, and all the proceeds benefit the St. Louis Area Food Bank. So for $15 a person, you don't need to bring anything. We'll provide mask, fin, snorkel, the shirt to wear, BCD, and then the chance to sit on Santa's lap and get your picture taken underwater. So it's always been a very well attended event, and we're very always wanting to set our bar pretty high as far as our goals. This year, our goal is to generate 4,000 meals, and so for every dollar donated, that turns into 4 meals. So we get $1,000 to earn our goal. It's going to be Saturday, December 7th, and we have time blocks from 1 to 4:45 p.m. So it's just sort of a fun holiday photo to send out, great for Facebook, that kind of thing. We have the Santa hats, we have elf hats, and all the trimmings. So call in and get yourself registered and help us support the St. Louis Area Food Bank. I also want to make mention that we just launched our We Own Winter program. I think I've got the sweatshirt on. Okay. We Own Winter contest. The idea is to promote diving over our colder months and build some camaraderie as we sit by the fire and warm our hands in between dives. But there's a $75 entry fee to participate. It does include this sweatshirt, and we've got some contest rules. So check out the website and join us this winter. We have our it's going to be dive into the new year. So on December 31st, we're going to meet at the quarry, and then at about 11:30 p.m. we're going to get in. My friend Nick Atherton and the gang, they've got the place already picked out where we're going to launch this SMB. It's got dive lights all around it, glow sticks all around it, and we, instead of dropping the ball, we launch the SMB. It's goofy, yes, but nonetheless, we still have a pretty good time. Hot cocoa, of course, at the end, we spike a little something, something. And then the next day, we get up and we do the polar bear plunge with Glenn's crew from Vermette Springs. So 2 days of diving already in the mix, so mark your calendars. And then one more thing to mark is going to be the 8th annual Ice Hole Festival. This is up at Lake Okoboji in Iowa. We took a group last winter, and it's January 30th through February 2nd. And we're joining Scuba International, and they've got Fourth Element there, Patty's there. You can earn your ice diver certification. And again, just a great way to earn some We Own Winter dives in your logbook. So come join the fun at Lake Okoboji. Yay. And then I also want to thank everybody that joined us last weekend for our luau. We had a tremendous showing at our luau, so that was pretty fun. Thanks to my friend Joanne for getting the pig. I returned the board, but yeah, really fabulous. So I think that's all I've got for tonight. Keep an eye out for our schedule of classes. We are still active all through the winter with open water classes. Scuba Reactivates. If you've got a trip coming up over the winter, we've got Scuba Reactivates. So we can keep you in the water and keep your skills fresh. Tonight, though, I want to introduce you to a couple of ladies that we met on our Antarctica trip. One of the things I've said, my favorite things about joining forces with Blue Green Expeditions has been the opportunity to meet all of these really unique individuals and find out what makes them passionate about diving. And tonight we're going to hear from two of them. We've got Tiffany and Ashley, and they are going to be talking to us about their program called Seabirds. And I just couldn't be any more proud of these ladies and all their passion and enthusiasm what they bring to our community. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ashley and Tiffany. Hey, we sound hollow down here. There's only three of us. I'm sorry.
Well, thanks for having us. This is so fun. You guys saw me last time as an otter doing VR stuff, so I'm changing animal groups and elements here. But same passion, different animal. So I'll share screen real quick.
And you had me on your dive weekend until you said polar bear plunge. Not for me.
Okay. All right. Y'all see that?
Yeah, give her a thumbs up.
Yep, we got it.
All right. Okay. I don't know how to make that there we go. All right. So Ashley and I are here to talk to you about the Seabirds Foundation, which is our new nonprofit. So Ash, would you like to kick it off?
Yeah, thank you. So Tiff and I launched the Seabirds Foundation earlier this year, but it's really been a few years in the works. So a little bit of a backstory, Tiffany and I met in the Arctic in 2022 on expedition. And just by chance, we became roommates in the same cabin and just instantaneously fell in love with each other. Sometimes you meet people and you are just like, you are the right kind of energy. We need to go change the world together. And that was basically every night of conversation between us of how are we going to do this? What's the plan? And fast forward 2 years, we came home from Antarctica and where we met Val and some of you guys and said it needs to be a nonprofit, it needs to be ocean focused, and it needs to be about things that we love and are passionate about and about bringing other people into that. So we started the Seabirds Foundation. And so who we are an intergenerational all-female leadership team. And what that means is we have connected with people pretty much from all walks of life. People that we know, people that we don't know, people who are doing things that we think are really amazing, and we have asked to partner with them. And we are keeping it the core leadership team all female, but we do work with kind of everybody across the board that's interested in helping save our oceans. We are non-traditional explorers, so we are kids, we are educators, we are citizen scientists, we are moms, we are daughters. We are not the people that you usually turn on your TV and see them in these crazy places, in these crazy scenarios. We are kind of your neighbor. We are the people who you interact with every day, and we also just happen to find ways to get ourselves out here into these positions. So our kind of core saying right now is ordinary people, extraordinary impact. And so what we do at the Seabirds Foundation is we leverage citizen science, which we will talk about here in a little bit. We bridge the gap between science and people. So we understand that in order to protect and understand our oceans, we need to be working with scientists, but not everybody has access to ocean scientists or the education and the schooling to do that. So we have found there is power in citizen science, which is people just like us just with a passion and a purpose, and connecting with scientists to see how we can help. And then we do that by creating opportunities. So we are the anti-gatekeepers, and we want to bring as many people into that as possible. I think you're going to have to change the slide though, Tiff.
It is.
Oh, it just took a minute. Okay, so a little bit about me, just for the flow. I will give you a little bit of my backstory. Tiffany will do the same, and then we will come back to what we are doing and go from there. So my name is Ashley Buggy. You guys are a dive club, so I'm keeping mine kind of dive focused, but there are a lot of different life events that have brought me to this moment tonight with you. The big ones and biggest one I would say is I actually lost my husband, Brian Buggy, in a diving accident in 2018. He was in the U.S. Navy and died in a rebreather accident when we were stationed in Hawaii. I was 6 months pregnant with my youngest when that happened. And we had dived as a couple for a few years previously, but it was kind of his passion. It was his thing. I liked to dive. I liked to see the animals. It was kind of a fun thing to do together, but it was never, I was never like a diver. It was never just like a part of me. And then fast forward to losing him in a very big way, and immediately I knew I had to give up diving. Not only was I pregnant, but the only way to guarantee that my other kids wouldn't lose their other parent in a diving accident was for me to never dive again. And so I had it set that I wouldn't scuba dive ever again. It was gone. Cindy has watched my YouTube video. Thank you. Yeah, that was my plan. Was diving had been something I had enjoyed once. It was something very special, and that it was something that brought a lot of pain to me and to my family. That being said, because it was such a big part of Brian and his life and his passion and his purpose, I wanted to bring him back to that. So I had his ashes turned into a living reef. So that's my husband, Brian. And I hope that played up for everyone. Okay, I can send in a copy of this after if anyone would like to watch that again. But yeah, so I had his ashes turned into a living reef memorial and had plans to have his dive team all come back to Hawaii and place that reef on the ocean floor. And as we got closer to that, the 1 year memorial and all of us flying back, I had delivered my baby. My other two were coming back with us, so all of us would be returning to Hawaii. And I just knew that I could not be a part of that dive. I had to be there. I had to be the one putting him in his final resting place. And so I called my friend who was helping arrange the dive, and I said, hey, Eric, I know that this adds a big layer of potentially chaos and stress and emotion, but I'm going to do the dive. I have to do the dive. Brian would do the dive if this were me, and I need to see it. This is the only opportunity that I will have. This will never happen again for me to be able to do this for him. And so May 20th came, 2019, and you might have seen in some of those images in the video, his dive team and I assembled, and we lowered him to the ocean floor. And it was through Living Reef Memorial is the name of it, out of San Diego. So that was kind of the turning point for me of doing that dive and of the confidence that I had doing it. I was surrounded by his dive team. I had never felt more scared or safer in a single moment of my life. I knew that I had all of these sets of eyes on me and that they would never let anything happen to me. I also had my 3 kids watching from the sailboat above us that he had sailed over from Washington to Hawaii in less than a year prior. And I surfaced from that dive and held the American flag over my head, and that was it. And I said, I'm a diver. In that moment, diving went from my greatest source of pain to a part of my DNA. And it changed everything for me going forward. And now the ocean is a part of my family, my kids' DNA, my DNA, for many reasons, but they do not know life without the ocean. From there, I went on and I wrote a couple of books, one of which is called The Ocean is Calling, and it's basically my love story with the ocean. It involves losing Brian, it involves using travel and diving and experience and education as a source of healing. And also in this book, I talk about meeting this woman, Alyssa, who was Brian's organ donor recipient. And if you could switch screens. So 1 year, just close to 1 year after Brian, I got a letter in the mail, and it was an envelope inside an envelope, and handwritten across the front said, "From your grateful recipient." And in the hours after losing Brian, I went through the organ donation consent process and consented to him being donated. It was far from my mind, really, anything at that time that anything had become of that, until I got this letter. And inside was a letter from Melissa, a 42-year-old nurse from Nebraska, who told me that she received my husband's Achilles tendon and it replaced her ACL. And she was the mom of 3 boys, and she didn't know anything about who her donor was, except that he was a healthy young man from Hawaii. And she had received our information, and she, through the donor company, was able to write us a letter. And this turned into a year worth of her and I writing back and forth and getting to know one another. I knew her now as a mom of 3 boys. She knew me as a mom of 3 kids. And that eventually led to her knowing Brian died in a diving accident, was an avid diver and an avid adventurer. And she went on to, in Nebraska, get dive certified, having never been an ocean person, a water person, a diving person. She went and got dive certified, and the next year flew to Hawaii, which you see in this top picture, and met my kids and I. And in the bottom picture, you see she dove for the very first time with me to his Living Reef Memorial. And together we were able to put our hands on him literally inside of her, and us in the ocean together, kind of getting to share this moment. So when I say diving is a big part of my life, it's not just that I love the ocean and I love the animals and I love the feeling. It is all of those things, but it is a part of my soul. And I feel fiercely protective of the oceans, and I want my kid to experience them in a way, not necessarily that I have, but in their own way. And I've done this in a couple of ways. Brian had a motto. He said, "No bucket list." Who knows how long we have? I don't want to build a bucket list. I just want to kind of do everything now. And I have, since losing him, taken that to heart and really understand that we don't know how much time we have. And if you have an opportunity, you set a goal and you work towards it. So that is kind of exactly how the kids and I live our lives. We have no bucket list. We make no plans outside of temporarily, and we go after things that we want. I will touch on a documentary real quick I made about Brian's death. It's called If Only, and it touches on the knowledge of human factors and a just culture and the premise of needing to share context-rich stories. This is something that we all need to learn from and understand dive accidents and the events that went into them so that we can all keep this sport a little bit safer. So if you ever want to watch it, you can Google If Only documentary and it's out there. And I know I'm long-winded, I'm so sorry, but this is me, this is the kids now. It's been 6 years. And I am just so focused on raising my kids to have this same kind of mentality of life is too short. You need to get out there and go after what you want. The biggest thing is sharing joy. If you have knowledge, if you have education of something, you share that with people. You don't gatekeep. You bring people into that, and you just make it as big and wonderful and beautiful as you can. The ocean being that thing for us. And Brian drowned. Tiffany and I were talking about this earlier, and she was saying, it's wild that your kids don't fear the water. They don't fear the ocean. They respect it and they love it. And that is exactly how I want them to be raised. I want them to have healthy respect of the ocean and of things that can be scary, but the mentality of you go after it and you make things happen. And yeah, that is the ocean. That is why, this is my why of the Seabirds, is I want people to feel what I feel when I'm in the ocean, when I'm near the ocean. I want to protect it, and I want it to be around forevermore for my kids and grandkids and all of your nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephew and Maeve and Connor and everybody out there to be able to enjoy it for generations to come. And that's a little bit about me.
Love it. Yay.
Okay, so I promise the tenor gets more joyful because we are actually really joyful people. But I'm going to get to my sad story. My dad died when I was 17, unexpectedly. The same week I was interviewing for colleges, and it took me decades to realize. But that big loss caused me to play it small and safe. So I withdrew all my applications to out-of-state schools, and I decided to stay near home and just pick good and safe majors and careers. And it didn't really matter that it didn't bring joy, but it was a responsible thing to do, lead a good life, yada, yada. Eventually, that led me to becoming a really unhappy lawyer, because that's a career that a lot of people tell you, it's good and responsible and you can make money and it's prestigious. And I hated it so much. Like, I used to, the way that I would dissociate before doom scrolling and social media was really a thing, was I would sit in front of my TV at 3 a.m. watching Say Yes to the Dress, shredding Colby Jack cheese into a bowl, crying into it, and then eating it like every day. And that was like the high point of the day. I was super miserable, and I was like, well, this is just life, right? I had big loss, and I contracted to stay safe. And then I went on a dive. And I credit this one dive with saving my life. It was my first drift dive ever. It was on my first liveaboard trip ever to the Galapagos. And I was 18 dives in, so really, really freshly an advanced diver, just enough to qualify for the trip. And I was like, what do you mean you just jump in and let the ocean take you? And I was a super type A control freak, so I could not really stomach the idea of just letting the ocean take me. So instead of drifting with the current, I decided to cling onto a rock at the bottom of the sea. And so I was there clinging the rock, watching everyone else drift away. And literally, when they were almost out of vision, I was like, I'm going to die here if I don't just let go and figure out a way to be okay with letting go of control of everything. And even knowing that logically, I couldn't push off and enjoy it. I just kind of opened my fingers and then the water whooshed me away. And I screamed internally and I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. But before I knew it, if anyone's done a drift dive, it takes you and then it's like you're the turtles in Nemo. It's super fun and you feel stoked and you're just whooshing away. And then before I could even remember that I had been literally clinging to a rock, all my fears had turned into feelings of flying, and I have been going with the flow in my life ever since. I came back from that trip and I quit my job without a plan. I sold my house in downtown LA, and I was just like, okay, let's start figuring out what to do with this one wild and precious life that we have. And what I like to say is ever since then, I have allowed myself to dream a little bigger, try things, fail at a lot of things, redirect, and not have to have everything figured out. I've allowed myself to be like, that sounds interesting. Let's try it. I ended up in the Florida Keys because I found an Instagram post for a coral restoration internship to become a scientific diver when I was 34. And I was like, sure, sounds fun. And so I moved to the Keys because I wanted to do scientific diving. And I signed a 4-month contract, and it's been 8 years just because it seemed fun to stay. And I've loved the community I've built there. And through all this, through writing and advocacy, marching around in a shark costume and to fight against unsustainable seafood, and even making virtual reality environments of the underwater world with Lou that you met with me a couple months ago, everything I've done has led me back to the ocean. And I, like Ash, feel a very deep debt to the sea for saving me. And so for me, it is because I want to pay this forward. I want to help the sea and help other people realize how big and vast and amazing and healing it can be. And for me, it hits one of my core values, which is freedom and joy, right? Like I have found that in the ocean in finding my own path and my own purpose here. And I want that for other people. So now I say that I'm an explorer, I'm a storyteller, but I'm really an ocean creative and an ocean entrepreneur. If it has anything to do with the blue and it's kind of fun, I'm like, okay, let's find a way to do it. And my life motto is I'm trying to save the world and have the time of my life doing it. I really want to enjoy this ride. So that kind of leads us to here, which is we learn the ocean can heal, it can give purpose, it can save, and we want others to connect and protect. And so we created the Seabirds to nurture that connection.
Yeah, and then we decided instead of keeping people out, as you see with a lot of traditional scientists and explorers, where it's kind of this exclusive group and you have to, it's not obtainable for the everyday person. We decided we want to be the everyday people, but we still want to help. We want to be us and we want to do more. And we know firsthand if people feel a form of connection or if they feel empowered, if they see a way that they can have impact, they will work hard at that and they will feel involved. And so that is the basis of the Seabird.
So that's what we were doing, and this is our awesome squad, our team, that we're doing it with. We're an all-female leadership team, everyone you see here. We have lots of diverse talents, like the Nicole who's got her hand up like that. She is a marketing exec at Nike, or a marketing gal at Nike, and she designs all our stuff and makes sure that it looks professional and awesome. Lou used to be a climate educator and a teacher, so we've just got a nice mix of people who are regular, ordinary people like us who want to help the oceans.
And the method of our helping the oceans that we found most impactful and closest to our heart is citizen science. And we're doing this in 3 different ways: through community, through impact, and through purpose. Our community, as we kind of talked about, are divers and non-divers, really just kind of your everyday person who might feel something for the ocean, who might feel something for the animals in the ocean and just want to do something. They don't know what, they don't know how, but they know that they have the power to do it. We are that kind of medium that we connect those people with the scientists and the people working in those fields. We do this in a couple different ways. We have a youth advisor team. So the youngest seabird, I think, is 6 years old. And she's out there studying ocean acidification for us. And we have a 17-year-old that's coming with us to Greenland, so some of you will meet Amelia. We have a team called the Adventure Aunties, who are within that multi-generational field. They have been there, done that. Now they want to give back their experience and their knowledge to this younger crew coming in. We do this by reaching out to schools, by speaking to schools, by live streaming to schools when we are on expedition, by bringing as many kids, as many community members, and as many people as possible in. We are working with scientists, so we are actually collecting real data that will be studied and used. We are doing this through STEM curriculum. You'll see on here youth leadership, women leadership, climate education. So we're developing our own curriculum in conjunction with educators to make this multi-purpose. We are having kids in schools do the curriculum, and then we are using our science sea bags and lab kits out on the ships to be able to show how it's used out there. The purpose behind all of this is just showing that ordinary people can have impact. We bring awareness to these issues. We provide real opportunities for people to get involved and make a difference. We transform interest into action and passion into purpose. And that is our whole goal, is just to bring people in and help build that connection so that we have these oceans around for a long time.
So this is just a little bit of a deeper dive into our 3 kind of actions that we take. They are teach, reach, and explore. In teach, it's kind of everything that has to do with the next generation. This one is really, really dear to Ash in particular. She's like spearheaded everything. Her downstairs bedroom is now a kid's laboratory, basically. It's got all these crazy experiments and things that she's put together into what we call our science splash sack. And it mirrors the same expedition science that we all see on boats like the Ortelius. And it helps to teach kids STEM and ocean literacy. So if we did a plankton tow, they have a chance to DIY a plankton tow. If we're studying acidity in the ocean, they can test the pH of their local waterways, things like that, so they can start grappling with what is happening out there on the front lines from their backyard. It's citizen science programming for students and communities, all ages. We also run science camps and scuba camps. And we've got partnerships with some awesome groups like the Girl Scouts of America and this amazing company in Honduras working with microplastics and plastics on their shorelines. And all of it is basically to demystify the world of science for the next generation, to really get them engaged. Reach is our next action verb, and this is really, doing like what we're doing now, talking to different groups, live streaming with classrooms from the field. The story I like to tell is from Antarctica. One of Ash's kids' classrooms called in, and they were asking us all kinds of questions, and they were like, but where do you go to the bathroom? We don't see buildings. And we were like, oh, you don't? And they just could not fathom that you're just in this little suit and you go on land and then you have to come back to the ship. So it's little things like that that help to break the barrier between everything that's going on out there in the big world and their lives in their classrooms.
I will say I did love when I admitted I wear a diaper while diving in the pool. They loved that. That was very exciting.
We also help collect data, like Ash was saying, for scientists, and also in day-to-day to put into different marine debris tracker apps and iNaturalist, things that are usable in research to help just broaden our understanding of our world. We have a particular specialty in expedition media, social media sharing, and we have a documentary in the works that we're hoping to bring to the Arctic on a different trip next year to document kind of our all-female team alongside matriarchal orca there, which should be amazing. And then, of course, we've got the underwater campuses that Lou is helping to build. Lou and I are helping to build to boost accessibility for people who might never go on these trips with us or who might never dive, so they can still have those same really strong connections to the ocean. And our last action is, of course, exploring. Ash and I are very proudly non-explorer explorers. We have worked hard for those titles, and it is something I really believe more people can and should access. So we partner with awesome people like Blue Green to go out on expedition and to bring people with us. Our whole goal is to activate regular people to understand that they can have an impact and they can contribute as who they are. Like our person who helps us with grants has said so many times, all I do is spreadsheets. And we're like, but that matters. Like if that is getting funding to our oceans, that's a huge part of the fight too. And so helping people understand that they can be part of saving our oceans with the skills that they have or the skills they want to grow in. Our kind of like stepped up version of the science splash deck is the Science at Sea bag, which is going to help capture foundational ocean science whenever we're out on expedition. So that will be like in a rucksack that we can bring on board, and then we can help get data in these areas where these recreational ships are going that scientists might not get to go to. And then, of course, we have a shared with you guys a passion for the poles and adding data to these data scarce regions. And I've talked about our team. So, Ash.
So this is us. This is Tiff and I. We are the founders of the Seabirds, but we could not do this without the team, both the leadership team and the greater team, which we include everybody. And now you guys, Y-kiki Divers, is now part of the Seabird squad. So we're a new nonprofit. We have the passion, the grit, the heart, but just kind of like our whole system is set up, we need help from people with experience, people who have been there, done that. We are eager to learn and find new ways of doing this. And this is you. That was like a game show, and this could be you. So Y-kiki Divers and Valerie specifically, you guys have established yourselves as a community. You are basically us on the other side of the country. Each of you guys have a story, a memory, a moment, just like Tiff and I shared from your lives as divers, where you knew that the ocean or the water or the quarry would be a part of your lives forever. And we think just as divers, we see the world differently. We have a very unique opportunity to share these kinds of experiences with others, and a responsibility to bring them into it. So we just wanted to say, this is what we are doing. We would love if any of you wanted to be involved and join our mission. There are a plethora of ways to be involved: youth advisors, dive trips where you need citizen scientists to come out, networking, anything that you would want to be involved with us in. We would love that.
Yay.
So thank you so much for having us today. This has been an exciting and pleasurable experience. I'm sorry that it started off a little sad. There's no real way to kind of share our story and the why of why the heart, like what brings us into this, without sharing the very real moments of life that really were that turning point. And so thank you for sharing this time with us. We would welcome any questions, and whoever just said I want to be a part of it, you're in. Get you a sticker.
That was our Sarah Grabowski. You actually have met her. She was on
yeah.
trip. Yes. So, ladies, truly, you shared exactly the reasons why I had an instant connection with both of you on this trip. I think we come to this equation. So, for my story is that I water skied. I was on the swim team. I was a water person my whole life. And my husband, on the other hand, was from Winfield, Missouri. So those on the call will know it's a country town. He never experienced water. We decided to get certified for the 2000 New Year. We figured if the world was going to end, we might as well be somewhere tropical. And annoyingly to me, my husband was instantly perfect at this activity. He was instantly comfortable. He instantly understood what the dive computer was telling me. And I was moderately terrified. I just knew at any moment we were going to die. And I absolutely had no clue what that dive computer was telling me. Zero. So, I feel it's ironic that I own a dive shop, and my story is similar. My husband gave me scuba, right? He gave me the patience. I lashed out at him when I was scared, and of course yelled at him instead of trying to express what all my emotions were. And he held my hand. I was that girl that I held onto his hand for 25 dives, and he was patient with me throughout. So I too, it has evolved into me, my heart, my love, my passion, and I it's like going to church for me, right? It's very spiritual. So you guys are kindred spirits. We bring different things to the equation, but when I go scuba diving, it is an experience for me, and I'm just very joyful to share it with so many folks that are also online. Some of my friends that I see here tonight, and I know they bring their unique stories and their individual passions, and so we get to travel around the world and view the world from an ocean's perspective, right? The ocean is what brings us together. So I'm really excited to hear about your organization, and I know there's lots of us on the call. My friend Rana is a former teacher, and so we too would love to be a part of what you guys are doing. And so it seems pretty broad, and I guess what we need from you guys is maybe some ideas on, here we are in St. Louis, Missouri. What can we do to help you guys out? Obviously, fundraising is probably a big part of the equation, but maybe getting into the schools and that kind of a thing. Is that what you're looking for? What kind of things are you looking for us to help you with?
So thank you. Like, that's just so kind, and you guys are awesome. And I saw the sending messages to former colleagues right now. We have this huge kit that Ash has very painstakingly built in her bedroom, which basically could do ocean STEM curriculum for a whole semester. It can be broken up into smaller bits, but it's really comprehensive. We would love to get that in front of more schools, have kids learning about the ocean. We also can, I saw that. Thank you, Sarah. We also would welcome, like, if different groups like Girl Scout troops or classrooms wanted to do scuba camps or get like a workshop over a weekend or a day or two. Those are like on-site things we can do. We of course do like Zoom talks with classrooms, and we can teach on more pointed topics. Honestly, anything helps. And even if you would like to just like help us when we're in the Arctic together, we're going to need like able people who are excited to help us with the science. So if you want to just come and like squat up in between dives with us or on dives with us, that would be super awesome. We would love that.
You got to know. Yes, exactly. That Sarah says it all. Me. Yeah, you've already got us. So.
Yeah, and if more specifically, if there are like educators out there or people who have a passion for certain topics and you would want to talk on behalf of the Seabirds, we have partners contacting us asking, can you please deliver presentations? Can you do this? So if anyone's interested in working with us, we would love that.
Very cool. I love Angie's face.
And the Cindy just wrote, your website showed you doing a recent documentary on orca. Yeah, so we are working, we're still in the treatment phase right now, but we are working on building out plans to do a documentary. We'll start filming this summer, and then it'll be shot both in the Puget Sound with the Southern residents and in Norway while we are on expedition with the orca there. So Tiff kind of touched on that, but following these matriarchal lines. So we are intergenerational women learning from each other and passing that knowledge down, and that is exactly how orca operate, and we have a lot to learn from them. So that will be kind of the plan with the documentary.
So tell me, I missed that. What trip are you guys doing with orca?
Yeah, we'll be back in actually a very similar trip that Tiff and I initially met on. We'll be in just outside Tromsø in the fjords in November of next year.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Well, and so here at Y-kiki, we're actually got great connections with both the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. So I could easily see us trying to develop some curriculum in those arenas, for sure. Pretty exciting.
Careful, you're volunteering. What are you doing the last weekend in April?
What are you doing the last weekend in April?
I don't know. What are we doing? You tell us.
We're doing this big council-wide STEM council camping thing, but I got recruited to do all the aquatics. So.
All right. So David Alsop, who handles a lot of the technology for me for these presentations, he's also a very big member with the Scouts. And in April, it sounds like we've got a big
end of April.
A STEM-oriented curriculum. So we'll have to work together and partner all that up together.
100%. That would be amazing. Yeah. And we are preferred partners with the Girl Scouts, so we are kind of already in with them. If you have troops there, we would love to be introduced. Definitely,
we do. Absolutely. We just did. It's called the Girl Scout Roundup, and we were part of that programming where we just were talking about scuba diving and trying to introduce the gals to the idea of scuba diving. We used to do a lot of Discover Scubas before COVID. We need to circle back to that a little bit more. Yeah. Hands-on stuff where we actually get them in the water and you see their eyes get really big underwater. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, David, we can send a follow-up email. I'd love to hear more about the plans.
I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, he says absolutely. So good. Do we have any other questions from our attendees tonight? You good? Well, ladies,
the girls are awesome. I just wanted to say that. You're so much fun on the trip, and I hope we see you next year.
Yeah, you'll be in Greenland, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see you there.
Yeah, I think on that trip we've got Cindy's. Cindy's not coming, but we got Sarah and Tiffany, and we've got Angie joining us too, and Rana. Oh, she's sitting here crying a bit. Rana. So she's an educator, and she's a kindred spirit, and you guys are we'll connect you guys all together. I know she'll want to participate, and help you guys out with all the various product or things you're doing. I guess I just want to thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight and sharing the Seabirds mission, especially your backgrounds and allowing us the opportunity to hear more about what you guys are doing. You're taking those stories and you're pulling it together for the good of diving and the good of scuba, good of oceans, and we're excited to be a part of that as well. So, Miss Tiffany, Miss Ashley, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us tonight. We just love you guys to death, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Thank you. You guys have a great evening. Good night.
Good night.